put on a show against the Colts. CJ completed 75% of his passes, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, both to Stephon. Now, before the season, we were concerned about him fitting in a crowded wide receiver room, but here's Stephon. In those moments when they lean on you, it's because they trust you in those big moments. 4th down, money on the floor. Trust number 1. Here's the numbers. Stephon had 33 receiving yards, only 2 touchdowns. Nico and Tank had more yards, and Tank Dell didn't. It's pretty good. So, Nick, are you still worried about Stephon fitting in?
Well, yeah, listen, I think Stephon's a combustible player, and I think he is certainly not going to be the #1 option on his team for the first time since his rookie year, and we'll see how he deals with it. And even when he says money downs, one of the most underrated, important plays of the entire weekend, C.J. Stroud's first, if he wins MVP, I'll think back to this moment, the 3rd and 11 to ice the game. They're only up 2. There's 2 minutes left. It's 3rd and 11. Indy has moved the ball at will. Anthony Richardson's just firing balls downfield. And he throws to Nico Collins on the sideline, and he gets it. What I found very interesting was how Bobby Slowick used these guys, because these numbers are jarring, which is how far did the ball travel in the air on average when it's thrown to you?
Right.
For Stephon Diggs, that's not a misplaced decimal, less than 2 yards.
That's a good roll,
For Collins, exactly. This isn't a negative.
Okay.
For Nico, 16 yards in the air, Tank 16 yards in the air. They are using Diggs, Greg, you speak to it better than me, as a technician, route runner, sure hands, and they're using the other guys as a big play.
Do we remember a couple weeks ago when I told you exactly what these 3 were going to bring to the table?
I thought I said that.
Stephon Diggs was the route runner. He's the precise guy that he's going to get the ball on 3rd downs. He's going to be that possession guy. That's exactly what they're doing. They have the big play guys.
Once again,
this is why I believe he's going to thrive this year. Because when you have a guy under center like C.J. Stroud, who has the ability to make any and every throw, we've seen that, and be as big play moment as we've seen in this league as a star goes under center, and you have 3 guys that can get the ball down the field if you need to, can run any route on the route tree, 1 guy who can create unbelievable separation in Tank Dell, and you got a guy who can make contested catches, and another guy who's your 3rd kind of option, 2nd kind of option, and Stephon Diggs, who can run routes, make contested catches, and just be sure-handed for a quarterback. It's a win-win situation. Why would he be combustible? No, he's not.
It's very smart of them because, as you said, Dell and Collins are going to be their big play guys, but it's almost like we have this package for Stephon to keep him happy, right? Because you're going to those short throws. Right, and it can be effective. My question, though, Greg, is what if he did – now, he did have 6 catches, which isn't bad, but what if he didn't have the 2 touchdowns? What if it was just 6 catches, 33 yards?
Good question.
And Tank Dell's got 70 yards instead of 40 and 1 touch. If that happens more often than not, that's when I wonder how Stephon going to handle it.
Well, we watched it for the second half of all last year. And he
ended up leaving.
Yeah, but he
left, but he didn't cause any issue. What issue did he? So now, what you're saying is,
I don't think he needed to. Why do you have to leave? You had one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and you had to continue. Seriously, though.
Well, what was the issue? Run its course. I agree with Greg. I didn't think he was a bad guy.
He wasn't.
Half year.
But it was the stuff he did
Buffalo.
before.
Yeah, that
before the end of the season. That's what it was.
But that was when he was getting the ball. I think he was unhappy. What is it's
okay. Well, that's the end of the segment. Okay. So listen, in a way, I kind of resent this question. Still any concerns about Stephon Diggs? I understand the somewhat concern that he can have issues personally in that regard, right? What if he didn't have those 2 touchdowns? How happy would he be? I think Diggs has greatly matured. But it's kind of weird because Nick was just kind of defending and saying, I'm with Greg, but he started off the segment by saying Diggs is combustible. And I think they mean that in terms of emotionally and causing problems. I think, what happened with Buffalo was that, right, the relationship ran its course. Him and Josh Allen just did not get along very well. And I think at a certain point, Stephon Diggs just kind of became withdrawn. He was just He was just kind of done with the Bills, wasn't confident in what they were doing and what they were going to build and their opportunity and potential to win a Super Bowl, and so he's done. So like that's why he left. Like Bruce saying, why did he leave? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Look at the Bills right now; they're still so Josh Allen centric. Whereas look at the Texans now. They have a million weapons. I mean, it's just great. They have this great young hotshot ascending quarterback and this great young hotshot offensive coordinator to tie it all together. I mean, I absolutely love everything that the Texans are doing. Love it. They're continued to be one of my top teams in the NFL. I think they are an absolute force to be reckoned with. And this idea that we have to kind of really nitpick of like, well, what about where is Stephon lie and where does this like? Let me see if I can get back to the numbers, not the average yards, because I don't care as much about that. Don't get me wrong, I think it's good and it's good balance by Bobby Slowick and all of that, which again is the importance of having an offensive coordinator who actually knows what he's doing and knows how to connect this all. But this right here to me is also CJ Stroud's maturity as well. I mean, like, this is great. 6 targets, 8 targets, 7 targets, being able to spread the ball, and it was in a way that felt forced. There was really no forced. As you can see, I mean, Dell 3 for 7, obviously not like the best, but also not the worst. Like, again, like not everyone's going to be perfect. Not everyone's going to be 6 for 6, 6 for 8, 5 for 6. Like, it's not always going to unfold that way. But I think, to me, the way how this offense is often going to run, and this is going to be kind of an interesting example, is actually kind of like the Golden State Warriors in a way, with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. I just think sometimes you are going to have the one of those players just bust out for 117 yards, right? And it's just going to be like, clearly that's his game. Let's go. Just like the Warriors, where sometimes Klay is on fire, sometimes it's Steph, sometimes it's KD, and they never stepped on each other's toes. And the reason why I honestly switch sports and bring it to basketball, because they show a masterclass of what it's like to support each other when one of them is clearly taking control of the game and not just being like, well, now it's my turn. Like, give me the ball. You already have enough shots. You already have enough points. Like, it's my turn. They never did that. They were supportive and they were happy for each other. It's a different sport, of course, and there's different contracts and money involved and just different personalities, so it's not a perfect comparison. But I think at the end of the day, Diggs does want those touchdowns. He's probably less concerned about receiving yards. He seems to me be a little bit more touchdown driven of a quarterback, while some quarterbacks, some wide receivers really want the targets, right? They really, really want the targets more than they care and maybe say about the touchdowns or even the yards. They just want to feel like they're involved in the game. And I think that's what Diggs started to get defeated in, is just, I don't think Diggs felt like he was involved in the game, right? And I think that's why with the Bills, he just, slowly but surely just became more and more less engaged. Now, I do want to see what Diggs looks like if he's 6 for 6, 33 yards and no touchdowns. Like, I really am curious, like, how will he be? I really think that he's taken this leadership role seriously. He understands, and I really strongly believe that the culture in the Texans, especially D'Amico, was like, yo, I understand you are a big dog. I understand that you can be a top wide receiver in the NFL. We have mouths to feed. This is not about one player. This is just not. And if it was, it's all about CJ Stroud, quite frankly, because he is the future and the present of this team. And it's just like, we are going to integrate you. You are going to get your targets. You are going to get your yards. You are going to get your touchdowns. Sometimes you're not. And I need you there to be supportive. I need you there to be a leader. It just really felt like they had that conversation with him, because he just kind of hit the ground running with that mentality and even spoke about it, right? Like, and there was like interviews about how serious he's taking. And to me, that felt like they talked to him, that they had to sit down and said, this is what we need out of you. Are you willing to be this? Like, look at this roster. You're not dumb. Look at this roster. Look at this team. Look at this quarterback. We have true Super Bowl aspirations. Like, we can legitimately win the Super Bowl. We need this but we can't have any issues. We need you to be a leader. We need you to support these other guys. We need you to help, make their lives easier, right? Both on and off the field. That's what we need from you. We need you to say the right things. And I'm really confident those conversations took place. And it seems like Diggs, it registered with him. And so, yeah, I just think that this is an incredibly exciting team to continue to watch this season. And you know, again, just to a degree, I get the question, right? Any concerns about Stephon, because it's sports talk, it's content. I think it's a shame that this segment, and I didn't really find many segments, quite frankly, on the Texans, of just like, how great was that game? Let's unpack this game as a whole. Let's talk about it. It's like the one of the first real segments on the Texans is just any concerns about Stephon, and it's like, what? Like, how is that the main headline of the Texans right now? Like, it doesn't really make sense. If anything, it should just be like, how impressive were the Texans? How impressive was Diggs? You know, surprised how comfortable Diggs, you know, integrated himself into the offense? Like, I think those types of questions make a little bit more sense. But again, I'm just nitpicking here. I understand why the question is phrased the way it is, because Diggs does have the history, right? That he does have technically that potential. Once you show that you've done something in the past, you have that potential. So since he was a problem before, technically he always has that potential. It's just the way it goes. But I'm just not anticipating it being a problem at this point at all. I think he's 100% bought in, and I think the Texans getting a win early on really mattered. I think the Texans are all about the momentum this season, and I think that they obviously won against the Colts, and I think that they should definitely win against the Bears. It's going to start them off as 2-0. I forget who they play in their third week, but I think the sky's the limit for the Houston Texans. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you have any concerns about Stephon Diggs? And what did you think about the Houston Texans, CJ Stroud, and how that offense was running? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.